Everyone, my name is Lynn McIntosh and I'm a Programme Manager for Business Transformation at the Offshore Wind Growth Partnership. I'm delighted to be joined today by Andy Page, the CEO of Sharing and Growth UK Limited, to provide you with a brief overview of our fantastic business transformation programme, the Sharing and Growth Offshore Wind programme. The Offshore Wind Growth Partnership is an organisation responsible for supporting delivery of the aims and objectives of the UK offshore wind sector deal. Our activities are therefore focused on engaging with supply chain companies across the UK in order to increase their competitiveness. In turn, we seek to achieve increased UK content in UK projects, secure and increase UK jobs in the sector, and grow export opportunities for UK offshore wind supply chain companies. The OWGP is funded by the Offshore Wind Industry Council, OWIC, and OWGP programme is delivered by the Offshore Renewable Energy Catapult. OWGP has a budget of £100 million over 10 years and is supporting companies through project grants and business transformation projects. Grant funding is normally allocated through a regular funding call application process and seeks to support companies with specific improvement or innovation projects. The grants range in size depending on the nature of the development and are matched with in-kind contributions from the beneficiary companies. Our business transformation activities, such as the Sharing and Growth Offshore Wind programme, are focused support programmes to enable companies to increase their competitiveness and grow their business. The programmes range in duration and intensity and are delivered by specialist delivery partners. Sharing and Growth Offshore Wind programme is a high-intensity business transformation programme, and we will be delivering it with the Sharing and Growth team. I'll now hand over to the Sharing and Growth CEO, Andy Page, to provide an overview of the programme. Andy.
Many thanks, Lynn, and if I could extend my own welcome to everyone to this presentation. I'd like to go through a couple of things, talk a little bit about who we are and the approach that we take, and also give you a perspective from others as to the impact that the programme can have. So if I could start just by explaining a little bit about who we are as an organisation. We were founded in 2012. Myself and a number of other colleagues at the time were answering the call from government around how to accelerate the growth, particularly of the aerospace sector. But also working within civil nuclear. What makes us slightly different is we're a team of full-time people, largely employees of Sharing and Growth, that we connect with a group of deeper expertise that you can see on the diagram on the right-hand side, where it's appropriate to provide that level of specialism. But all of that collectively allows us to provide an integrated programme across a large number of specialisms, a large number of skills in order to tackle the typical challenges that we found in many of the companies. And it's important to note, therefore, that what we are is a body of people, and therefore people relate, obviously, to the people potentially in your organisation. And we'll do that through training, through coaching, through mentoring. So this programme is not there to provide cash. The funding from OWGP goes to provide for the people that we can then integrate into your business to do the work necessary. So what I'd like to do now is then just explain a little bit about the approach that we take in order to understand where we can focus our activities and the sort of thing that we hold dear to what we think is important in trying to make a company more productive, more capable, to accelerate their growth, to meet the needs of the market and their customers. And this little diagram here is one we would use in order to make sure that we've got a balanced activity going on within any company when they need to make a fairly significant transformational change. At the top of the diagram, absolutely essential and a key element of any healthy organisation, be it one that's manufacturing, be it a service organisation, let alone be it a scout club, which is what do you actually want to achieve? What is the direction that you want to take the organisation? And how do you want to do that? Which goes down two legs. On the right-hand side, it is the classical activity of getting things done. So how do you cascade those goals? How do you make sure it gets governed properly? How do you measure success? How do you make sure that problems are being resolved? And that's the bit that exercises the doing part of humans. But the thing that we would promote very strongly is you have to do the left-hand side at the same time, which is how, as a leadership team, do you make sure you're creating the environment where you're stimulating the human being as well, so people feeling a sense of value, they feel engaged, they're being able to contribute to their best, and joining those three together, underpinned, of course, by the fundamentals associated with the skills of the people and the competency of the processes that you've got. And that balance, making sure that the skills, the culture, and the governance is all balanced together and fundamentally attracted towards a future direction, is the thing that we believe is the secret to the success of this. Now, what that means in terms of typical interventions can range from a number of particular activities. And it's very bespoke. The whole point about this, of course, is that everybody's individual companies have their own attributes, have their own strengths, have their own challenges, have their own future directions. And this list is really there for a list of typical things that we have found in companies that we have worked with, and forms, if you like, a type of menu of approaches that we could be taking, recognizing that the way in which we would do these types of intervention would be to take those people that I mentioned in the slide but one, and work with the people in your own organization very much shoulder to shoulder. So providing, therefore, challenge and knowledge, and most importantly, leaving you, therefore, with confidence and capability in order to be able to meet the challenges of the business. But I think me explaining that to you is obviously abstract from either your business or anybody else's business. And what we would always recommend is to talk to the people that have been impacted by this. We're very proud that over the time that we've been operating this program, we've worked with over 60 companies across the UK, securing about 9,000 jobs in those and seeing notable increase compared to their peers in terms of their turnover and their headcount growth too. But rather than hearing it from me, what I would like to do now is just cut to a short testimonial video from a number of the people that we've worked with so that you can hear it directly from them.
By the end of this year, we'll have grown to 50 million.
Our productivity has increased by 38%.
Delivering somewhere between 30 and 60% productivity gains.
Our margins improved from -6% to +20%.
Increased our order book by up to circa £30 million.
We've doubled our turnover per person.
We've recently won and announced the biggest contract by any measure in the history of the company.
In July, we won a £70 million contract from Rolls-Royce. We would not have won that without the intervention of sharing growth over the previous 4 years.
We're adding long-term agreements that allows us to invest heavily for the future in people and in capital equipment.
What sharing growth has helped us deliver is the ability to transform our people and upskill our people to make sure we make the most of that investment.
I know it's an organisation that isn't there to try and sell me anything. They're going to work with me and support me.
Sharing and growth is embedded within the organisation, working alongside us rather than working for us.
I think the leadership part for us has been very much an eye-opener. How we behave, how we lead our people.
It brings a lot of large company thinking, corporate strategy, better understanding on how to get from a small business to a medium to a large.
Sharing and growth doesn't come with a one-size-fits-all approach. They recognise that each site has different needs. We have world-class external training that otherwise might be unaffordable.
Brings all those pieces together as one business transformation, not just single elements, a complete package.
We are confident that we will reach our target of £8 billion worth of orders. This is absolutely open cross-sectorally.
Other countries and other governments are absolutely determined to take a larger market share of what we do. And they don't always play by the same rule set we play with in the EU and in the UK. And if sharing growth is, and it is, a viable option for us to leverage, then it's a must-do. They've got their tactics and what they can do to unlevel the playing field. We've got sharing growth.
So I'd now like to move on to more practically, therefore, how would this work? The approach that we would take in the broad sense I've described, but what does it actually feel like, and therefore what can you expect from this opportunity that OWGP is providing. So it starts off with an expression of interest. Lynn will explain a little bit more about how you can do that in a second. But our first engagement with you will be after the due diligence of that expression of interest to undertake a business assessment. And it's a fairly classical business assessment, but it's really the start of getting to know each other, understanding most importantly where you're looking to take the business, but trying to match to that the areas, the pinch points in the business, and therefore the priorities. So I mean, the purpose of the business assessment in its very first outing is simply to prioritize the blocks of intervention so that we can get going as quickly as possible in order to actually create impact. So the blocks of interventions would be substantive activities, very much metric driven, linked to the company objectives so that it has importance, so that we can make sure that we can create engagement within the people that you're looking to support that from your organization, and will be supported on site by our people, the skill set obviously needed to match that. But as we go through, our knowledge of your business will obviously increase. So our level of assessment, therefore, we will continue to be able to grow that assessment and feed back to you what we're observing as we become more knowledgeable about the context of your business and your own internal capability and competencies. And that will lead, therefore, to further blocks of intervention. And the expectation, and depending on the size of these interventions, is that the initial grant value of 150,000 would be there to support a sort of 9 to 12 month activity, typically sort of 2 to 3 blocks of activity. And then the expectation is that with that knowledge, if there is the potential for further payback for further grants, then there will be an opportunity to go for block 4, block 5 type of activities in order to then meet the sort of strategic goals that obviously we're all looking to do, securing work for the UK and increasing exports. And if I just give you an indication of what a block might look like, and this is really just as a sort of schematic, the way we would typically approach activities is that if the block of activity was there to increase sales, then it would be a business development focus. If it was about trying to bring in a new service or a product, then there's an introduction activity, a digestion activity. Or it may be that the challenge is a working capital or a cash generation or a profitability one on an existing product or service. So we would then want to try and focus in on that zone, make sure the community of people across the disciplines that contribute to that are part of a guided project, and then follow that through, implementing the knowledge in the training whilst doing real work in order to make sure that the disruption is as minimal as possible and the focus is on the activities that are very particular to the business. And we would typically call those lighthouse cells. It can be a lighthouse cell for the running operations, a product introduction, or a business development. But in terms of the format in which we do it, those would be all fairly similar. And the reason for it being called a lighthouse is it's almost certainly not going to be something that embraces your entire activity. What you can then do is use what has been learned in order to be the beacon, if you like, in order to then copy and paste that into other areas of the business as well going forward. So I've covered who we are, the approach we want to take, giving you a little bit of testimonials. I'll now hand back to Lynn in order to explain the process of application.
Thank you, Andy. So yes, just to provide a little bit of context on who can apply to the programme. The Sharing and Growth Offshore Wind Programme is open to companies and organisations with the following characteristics on a rolling basis. We are looking for ambitious companies who are looking to commit themselves to accelerate growth. And we also need companies who have senior leadership buy-in to the acceleration of that growth. We're looking to work with companies who are already working in the offshore wind sector and perhaps need some support to focus their strategic activities or enhance their future direction. We're also seeking companies that have a turnover of between £5 and £100 million per annum. The reason for this is to ensure that the company is of a magnitude and capability to absorb the intensive nature of the programme, and so that they can stand shoulder to shoulder with the Sharing and Growth team to drive improvements across the business. If this opportunity sounds like something you or your supply chain companies would benefit from, we would encourage you to reach out and get in touch with us at OWGP. You can find more information on the programme and how to apply at our website, which you can find at www.owgp.org.uk, and selecting Business Transformation Programmes from the drop-downs under the Opportunities tab. You can also contact us directly at info@owgp.org.uk to find out more information and to speak to the team directly. We look forward to hearing from you, and we hope that together we can beat the productivity challenge. Thank you.
Thank you.